Hey everyone, John here with Pro H Paintball. I'm back with another weekly video. Today's Tech Tuesday video, I'm going to show you how to clean the ASA on your GTEK 170R. So this is an M170, which is going to have the exact same ASA as the 170R, the electronic version. So today what you're going to need a little bit of planar Eclipse grease, a small pick helps, needle nose, a Q-tip, and your planar Eclipse Allen keys and a rag. If you don't have the planar Eclipse set still, you're going to need a 5/32 Allen key. It is included in your kit. So that's all you'll need on that one. It's kind of small. These are like mid-size Allen needle nose. A small Q-tip, a small pick. You don't have to have that, but definitely helps. And of course your Eclipse grease. Alright, so to get started, what you're going to want, make sure your barrel's off, make sure there's no air in the gun. And the way you can do that is go ahead and pull up on the bolt, pull it out there. If there was air inside the gun, it would have come out by now. You're all good to go. Okay, so what you want to do is, what we're talking about today is the ASA here. This is the part of the gun that turns the air on and off. What happens, you get shot in this, and it doesn't come apart real easy unless you're familiar with it. It kind of locks everything in place, and so it's kind of difficult to clean it. So let me show you how to do that real quick. So what you're going to grab is your 5/36 Allen key, and the reason why I really like the Eclipse ones, it's got a round side on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the gun upside down and face it away from you. And we're going to kind of hold it. And right here on the side, the push button, so you have a small side here, which would actually be on the right side of the gun. And then you have a left push button here. So on the left side of the gun, it's a large push button. That's the side we're going to push. So rotate it around. I'm going to take my round side Allen key and I'm going to press down as I slide the on-off off, I guess you could say at the same time. So as I'm pushing it down, I'm pressing at the same time. What happens is this piece locks into place with the way that the ASA is milled inside of here. There's little grooves and settings, and so if you don't press it down all the way, it's not going to come off. And the reason why you have to use a tool is because you're going to press it past the point of where you normally would with your fingers. So that's probably a good point I should have made. So again, I'm going to go back on real quick. So I can't just press the piece in. Let's see if I can get it lined up. And get it to go back on. You have to physically press it deeper than you normally would with your fingers to get it to line up correctly, to get it to go back on and come off. So, there we go. So again, the reason why it doesn't come off with your fingers is because you can only press it where it's flush. Right here. So you can only press it where it's flush, so it locks into place, it comes off, you're good to go. With your Allen key, you can press it a little bit further. So I'm going to press it a little further and slide it off, and it comes off. So what you get inside of there is you're going to get the, I don't know what the official term is, but you get the ASA slide. Again, you can see one large side, hopefully there. Let's see if I can see this here. There we go. You see the large side, and then you see the small side. So the small side right there. That's going to be the large size here, which is the part that you actually press, and the small side. So it does have a spring on here. That's pretty difficult to get off unless you pull on it. So it does click into place. So you want to make sure you don't lose that spring. So go ahead and lay that off to the side. And you can clean it and wipe it down. This is what most people ask about. They just want to wipe down all the paint that's behind the slide. And that's fine. You don't need a grease in there. Take your rag, wipe it off. But I'm going to go one next step after that. And there is a small rod right here. Hopefully you can see that. So there's a small rod that goes all the way through, and it has two small O-rings on the outside of it. So here's that small rod with the O-ring on it. I take the pick, and I'm just going to kind of peel off the O-ring off the side of it. And it fell off there, and then the pin fell out. So the way this works is this pin here has two O-rings on it that hold it into place, just like that, inside. So you have to peel one of them off here for it to slide out the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and put that O-ring back on so I don't lose it. I'm going to set that off to the side. Now what's left inside the ASA is you have a small pin that actually is what presses the air tank, and you have an Allen key set, or an Allen key screw inside that everything rides inside of that you want to get out. And this can be kind of difficult to get out. So another reason why I recommend a pick is I go right through the side here, and I try to press the ASA pin, trying to get this pin out of here, trying to press it as far as I can. I'm not going to force it too much, but in the side here, from the side angle, I can actually see it. And I want to press it until I can't see it anymore. And don't pry anything in here. You don't want to force anything. It will come out. So what I'm doing is I'm taking an Allen key and I'm pressing it into the hole that's inside of here to help press this ASA pin out. So good to go. As soon as I can't see it anymore, this is when I'm going to take my Allen keys, or my, sorry, I keep saying that, my needle nose, and I'm going to grab that pin inside. Grab the pin. I'm going to slide, pull it out, and I'm good to go. Just like that. So that's what it looks like. Right there. This is the small side that goes in first. This is the side that actually hits your air tank. This is the side that you're grabbing. So don't want to grab it too much. You don't want to scratch it up or anything like that. Lay that off to the side. Next inside here, you're going to grab your 5/32 Allen key and go ahead and take this insert out. So there are a couple O-rings in here you want to be careful of. So go ahead. And what I do is once it's unscrewed all the way, then O-ring will kind of hold it in place. I'm going to go and grab my needle nose and pull it straight out. All right. So now we have the, let me show you here. This is the pin. There's an O-ring on the front end, I guess you could say, of the 5/32 screw that everything rides inside of. So there's an O-ring there that could be damaged if it's leaking. There's an O-ring on the outside that could be damaged if it's leaking, but that is pretty much it. So if you're having an ASA leak issue, then these will be the only two, but very rarely do you ever have problems with these at all. The way this goes in is the small side first, drop it down, and go like that. Just, you know, we can see that. So that's how it sits inside of the gun, or inside of the ASA. So what we're going to want to do is we just want to, I don't recommend changing these O-rings unless you have a problem, but I'm going to take my Q-tip and just kind of wipe off any grease or any excess grease, and I'm going to go inside of the screw as well. Because of course paint and dirt probably get in here. Yeah, you can see it's pretty dirty. It's good to go. And then same thing for the ASA here. You want to take it, you want to clean the whole ASA inside of here. And I'm going to go all the way into the threaded area as well. Be careful not to leave any lint or anything inside. You see it's pretty dirty. Good to go. So, and this doesn't have to happen maybe, I mean, you don't probably ever have to grease this maybe once a year, once every 6 months, I would say, from my experience with this gun. If you do have leaks, of course, you do want to mess with it, you know, basically clean it and just make sure there's no debris getting caught in there. Your regulator is also inside the frame, so it could be a leak from there, but again, I very rarely have that issue. Pretty much, I don't think we've ever repaired that issue. So, okay, so that's pretty much it. You want to wipe everything down on the outside here. This is the bottom of the ASA. This is as far as I'm going to go. Your velocity adjuster here is on the bottom, so that's for another video. And good to go. Okay, so we want to go ahead and take a little bit of grease and we want to put it on these O-rings, mainly just to, when they go in, want to lubricate them. So I just put a little on my finger. I'm just going to dab it on this piece here, on the bottom O-ring, and then on the side O-ring. That's good to go. And then what I would recommend is use your 5/32 Allen key and go ahead and put it on there. Just make it a little easier to put it back inside the gun. And just line it up with the hole in the ASA. And again, you don't have to force anything at all. You're just going to press down just a little bit so it grabs because the O-ring is in there. And I'm going to tighten it up. And I'm going to take this and I'm just do a little snug. Just tighten it up just a little bit. You don't really want to put all your muscles in it. Just a small, firm spin. Alright, next you want to go ahead and take the ASA pin in there. You're going to drop it right into that hole you can see. And so this one you don't want to force. What will happen is if you don't get this set correctly, it won't line up with the hole in there, and that's okay. So just take your finger and kind of wobble it back and forth until it pops into the hole. And I'm kind of pressing down at the same time. And you really want to make sure. There's a little resistance on it because there's an O-ring that sits on the back that we saw. So that O-ring is going to keep it from sliding in. So you want to make sure you get that all the way in there. But you don't want to screw an air tank or anything on there until that pin is, you know for sure, is correctly placed in there. Otherwise, you'll damage it. Okay, so by pressing this all the way to the bottom, it now sticks out to the side. Like you can see the pin inside of there. So that slot that we're looking at is where our other pin that had the 2 O-rings goes. So we want to move that pin out of the way. We're going to take our pick and just slide it towards the back. It's good to go. And now it's out of the way for the most part. And you're going to drop this rod through there, through one side, and then we're going to hold it in place. And we're going to put the small O-ring back on the other side. This doesn't matter what side you put it on, as long as the 2 O-rings are in place. And this can be kind of difficult. So once you've done it a couple times, you can get pretty good at it. But all you're doing is popping the O-ring, basically the O-ring's here, and you're just pressing the O-ring until it pops around the top of it. Good to go. So now that piece is in place. You know, you've already wiped down the outside of here, so you're all set. And now you've got to put the ASA slide, on-off slide back on. So we want to do, of course, the big hole here, hopefully you can see that, is where the small pin goes through first. You're going to drop that through. The other side, however, is tapered on the inside. It has a step, I should say, on this inside here, that, not the large side, the other side. And you probably can't see it, but if you don't line up this pin correctly, it won't go all the way through. So it's kind of difficult, kind of frustrating. So you just want to make sure you kind of wobble it back and forth until it lines up with that small hole. Probably the hardest thing about this whole thing. And once you get it kind of lined up and you can feel the spring tension working, I just hold it into place like that. And the way you have to do this, again, the big button is going to go, I believe we said, on the left side of the gun. So when I'm holding it, just like this, the big button is going to go on the left side of the gun. So when I turn it over, it's going to be on the right side. Again, as long as you can keep pressing the spring, you know, have it correctly. But that's probably the hardest part about this whole setup. Again, is just making sure that you have this pin lined up with the correct hole. Once you've got it like that, I'm going to slide it on. And I'm going to kind of hold it on my finger. I'm going to press it towards the back of the gun while also pressing this pin or this button at the same time. And what's going to happen is if you lose the alignment of the hole, it's kind of a pain. But what we're going to do is once we get into here and we get that where we feel spring tension, we're going to have to hold it all in place, and we're going to take our Allen key and press it even further. Remember, because you have to press it further than your finger can, and then slide it on. And you see it's kind of cockeyed, so you just line it up, and you let go, and you're good to go. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but it can be kind of a pain. But good to go. Now, of course, grab your air tank before you go out and go ahead and make sure it works. Make sure you have no leaks. But you're all cleaned up. We get that question quite a bit, a lot more than I thought, because it's just not a very easy thing to take apart if you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, that is how to clean the ASA on your GTEK 170R, your M170. All those should be exactly the same on that one. Again, I did not touch the velocity screw. I did not tighten the ASA screws here, anything like that. I didn't want to touch any of that, just to show you how to clean that. If I missed anything or if anything was confusing, please go ahead and comment below. If you liked the video, if you found it helpful, please go ahead and like our video on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We release at least 2 videos every single week, and I answer all the comments on there. So you guys have any questions about this or any other tech questions or paintball questions in general, just go ahead and hit me up. Cool deal. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you guys next time.